You like a motion to
You
pass
got
the
that would be
minutes?
great, I'm sure.
Last month, I make a motion to pass the minutes last
I
month.
second it.
Motion in a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, action items. Administration lease, Lord Martha.
So as we've been talking about, we will be moving into we're moving out of the CCP to move into the backup center starting probably mid-December, January for our operations. Our report techs are now working from home and our administration needs a place to go. And so we've been working with the Levitt Group, which is the business park owner of where we're moving to with our new facility, and they had a space that was vacant right across the street from where we're going to be doing a bunch of work and construction over the next year, and so they have offered to lease us some space. So we have a lease agreement from them that we're looking to want to sign. I believe it is $6,000 a month. $6,000 a month, and it's a month-to-month lease. So as soon as we're ready to vacate, they'll work with us on that. So just looking for approval to go into contract with them, sign that lease, and move our admin out to the new facility.
2 for 2. I'd make a motion that we agree to the administration lease.
I'll second it.
Second from Scott. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Primary, MVA.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, Lumen Mac phone move. Jesse Patrick.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
In your packet, you'll see a work order for Lumen, who's our vendor that supports the phone system network for our PCAP. This is to move 13 phone Vesta positions from this facility here at the CCB to the backup center. We plan on hosting operations there for the next 12 to 15 months, depending on construction. Up there now we have Astra phones, which do not have the full capability of what our phone system here has. We have the spares here to move from the old Firecom trick where our report techs were, and then our training room. So those phones we moved from here over to the backup center. So they'll have that full capability when we inhabit in December, January. This cost is $82,503.85 pre-tax. So remove them from here, install them, reconfigure them for that location. Any questions on that project?
This was in the budget?
This was not budgeted for in tech this year. This was not planned for this year, but we do have funds in operations from some savings and some increased tax revenue that we weren't planning for. So we do have funds in the budget to support this.
All right, entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the contract for the phone system move.
Second.
Second, Jim Jenkins. Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dusty. Right, next action item, Evans quote, Lori.
So this is to remove the Evans consoles, so the furniture consoles that we have in our operations area right now. To remove them from the floor, we need to have Evans come in and do that to make sure that we don't damage anything in this process by trying to do it ourselves. So having Evans come in, remove the items, they'll store them for a period of time, and then we'll be reusing them at our new facility. So this is part of the building budgets, but also a little bit sooner with some storage added to that. So we're looking to get approval for this so we can schedule them. They're a few weeks out and try to be good partners with the city of Spokane and make sure that we are able to give them space. So looking for approval. Total is going to be about 96,000. I think is what we're looking at this. Nope.
138 plus.
138 plus tax. Oh, I was looking up for the herd. That's you. That's nice. Just too many
This is
things.
part of the project.
Yeah, ultimately, we were going to be doing this. It was going to be next year, but we're going to do it this year. So there will be added storage on that. But
All right, any other questions for Lori on the Evans school?
Are they insured?
yes. Yeah, and it's their company, they own these consoles, and so if they break them, they give us a new one. And if we break them, they donate us.
Any other questions? All right, entertain a motion on the Evans vote.
Motion to approve. Move forward with it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, next action item, prepare 911. Yeah.
It's my turn. This is a project that I've been working on for the last 2 years. We've involved our law partners in this. It's for non-emergency call triage through AI. It's gonna sit on our crime check lines, but it also has a shadow on our 911 lines for transcription translation. They have up to 280 languages for transcription and translation. So we can kind of do away with the language bank, which causes a 3 to 5 minute delay in getting translation services. This is an immediate piece of that. We also can slow roll this out, like we talked with our LCAB. And we can have this basically redirect some of our calls that don't need to come into our call center. And so we have a lot of calls that come in for scraps and Burlington Northern and utilities and that kind of stuff. And we can't answer their questions. All we can do is provide them with a number of who to call. So a lot of those calls, we can take that workload off of our call receivers, and that can be redirected directly to the source of where they can have that assistance. So the best part of that really is the customer service, is that they're not waiting on the line. If we have a big incident going, we have a large fire, they can wait for several minutes before somebody can answer that. That can automatically redirect them where they need to go. The other part of this that is a key feature for us is that we have about 26% of our non-emergency calls are true emergencies. And that can auto detect that on the AI and send that over to 911. So it can determine that that is not something that should be holding, and it can send it over. In the back end, it captures all of the audio that is on the phone, even while they're on hold, and it transcribes that for it. And so when the call comes over, the call receiver sees what was happening while that call was on hold. And so there's a lot of key features for it. The analytics is pretty amazing. We had our RTIC come as well, and they were pretty blown away by the analytics piece of it. So everything that is said on the phone, it is captured and it is searchable, versus in CAD, it is only what is entered by the call receiver. So there's a lot of data that could be missed on that side of it. So it's a pretty big deal. They do have other features in there that we could bring forward at a later time if our law partners want to go down that avenue. But this is a big deal. It can alleviate the workload that we're looking for our staff, so they can have breaks and they can take lunches. And it also, we believe, will reduce some of the overtime when the workload comes push to shove on a day-to-day basis. So it was not budgeted, but it is within our operational budget for this year, and it is $95,150.40. So we're looking to go forward with that.
And that's for the next year.
That is, yeah, it's a 2-year commitment, but that is a year-to-year cost.
So is this, and I apologize for missing the demonstration. So is this like when they call 911 or call crime check, it asks them to describe what's going on, and then it, or it would be, and
Yep.
then it evaluates out.
Yeah, and we have the ability to set the resistance as high as we want, if we want it to kind of push back and say, what can I help you with? Or we can have that resistance be very mild, which is really how we would roll it out to begin with. If they say, I want to talk to a person, immediately transfer to a person. So we think this offers a really good customer service aspect on those non-emergency calls while we're triaging the emergency calls.
Yeah, the most I went through, I was at the most late years ahead, I think, and then the RTCC team was there, and thought there was a large capacity for extra things on bar and above as a result of the platform.
Sounds a lot like Nurse Nav with the AI piece of it. Does this dovetail into nurse navigation?
Not that I know of.
2 separate standalone
Yeah.
systems there.
Yeah, they will interface into Hexagon. They have a partnership with Hexagon, so they can interface in when we go live with Hexagon after we are stable. And there's no other things that we have to do on that side of it. But it will have a key feature where we can push stuff into our CAD system.
Any retention concerns with the transcription for public records requests or?
Yes, but we're gonna work through that.
We're gonna work through the Shirelles.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Would you like for me to approve this?
For everybody else's sake, yes.
All right, any other questions for Kim?
Just a comment, great job, Kim and team, identifying some technology to add some efficiencies and help with some call routing that can be more appropriately placed where it needs to be. Just shows some continued excellence in identifying best practices and pioneering some of our new technology for SREC and for our community.
Pretty excited about it. One thing I will add is that we listened to several different demos, and what we really did like about this is like you actually don't really feel like you're talking to a robot. It's very conversational and sounds very, very human, which I think was a really nice touch, because that was my big fears with you. I mean, for me, I know that if I immediately get a robot, I'm screaming representative on the couch. So a nice hat.
So this is a 2-year trial phase essentially, and if we get value out of it, we're looking at maybe extending that longer term to do. Is there an advantage for a longer term quote or price?
If we start looking at some of the other modules there, they have a QA, a quality assurance software that can quality assurance 100% of our calls. They also have radio transcription that can sit on the back end of Motorola, and that's for law and fire. And so it can identify if somebody's on a channel that's not being monitored and there's an emergency, it pops it up. So there are some key features that they can package that down the road.
All right, any other questions? Comments?
Didn't see that today.
All right, entertain a motion for the prepared 911 first.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and approve this for $95,150.
All right, that's Chief Jenkins. Second. Second by Chief Ellis. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, next action item, Hexagon RMS. Lori.
Yeah, so in your packet, we received yesterday a letter from the sheriff, and actually it wasn't just from the sheriff, it was from all of our law partner agencies regarding Hexagon RMS. This is a conversation that's been ongoing forever, Mike.
9 months.
Yeah. So for a little historical background, and I'll do the brief version. Originally, the plan was to go for our law partners to go onto Axon Records Management System. After a couple of years of working on that system, it turned out that they weren't going to be able to provide basically multi-jurisdictional services, and so it wasn't going to work for all the other law partner agencies. And so we had a Hexagon RMS come in and do a demo. I think it was hands down the favorite for the law group. And in the course of that conversation, one of the things that we mentioned on the SREC side was that we had built our hardware out for future growth with our CAD system. So currently we have some hardware available where we could allow the Hexagon RMS system to come on with us. It would be an easy transition with the CAD system because we're already building that and doing a lot of the background work there. And so the thought process was that we would take and manage the software and the hardware for the Hexagon RMS. It will be at no cost to SREC. We'll be charging that out to all of our law partners. There are some logistics that we probably still need to discuss as far as who's going to manage the actual internal part of that, as we're not really equipped to do that just yet. I'm not really sure what the path on that will be forward, but as far as the going into contract with RMS, with Hexagon and being the keepers of that contract, and then making that part of the user fees for our law enforcement partners, and it will impact only law enforcement. So what I'm looking for today as far as an action item is if this board is comfortable with us extending that offer to the sheriff and then working out the logistics and eventually probably going into contract with Hexagon once we've got some of that ironed out, and then contracts with all of our law partners on the fees with that.
Thank you, Lori. Any questions for Lori on the Hexagon RMS?
Did I miss anything, Mike? This is your baby, whether you like it or not.
My baby. So yeah, no, I've talked with the group before about it. I think the biggest thing is the continuity, and currently we have a program with Tyler New World where it is continuous from CAD and RMS are from the same vendor. It makes the most sense to continue with that environment rather than dealing with multiple interfaces and bridges and all the things that are problematic with having two separate vendors. RMS is a critical part of our job. The records management system and writing reports. We write a lot of reports, tens of thousands of reports every year, and so it's critical. And this group has all basically it's on sheriff's letterhead only because we were kind of running the core team for the existing system, so. It would be separate ILAs, like Lori mentioned, with each agency and SREC. But this formalizes the request, I guess, that we've been discussing for months. So.
Any
Can
other
I,
questions? Go ahead, Scott.
I offer a couple of comments? Just,
Go ahead.
just for the board's awareness, and Mike and Lori kind of covered this, but just to get comfort for the board, this is a cost, this should be a cost neutral impact to SREC. All the other fire agencies do not utilize RMS. This is a law-based one. This is a platform that's currently hosted by the county. So the county manages all the interlocals between the other law jurisdictions and the county, bills and receives the payments, the proportionate payments back from those law agencies for the ongoing software maintenance. Given all of the CAD components are going to be going away to Hexagon, and SREC has purchased Hexagon as is close to implementing it, and SREC has the ability with servers and the technology already in place to be able to host this. It made sense to have the ask come to SREC, but the impact to SREC other users should be zero, because this is all going to be a billing and a net cost neutral back and forth between the law agencies and SREC. So I think it's a really great approach to be able to take, because we already have Hexagon CAD being hosted by SREC, but I just want to make that point clear with the rest of the board members. So especially the fire agencies knew that this was not a expected cost impact to them. And with I think there's a couple of pieces that are going to be key here. Obviously, timing of getting the contract signed is going to be hinging upon the interlocal agreements with the law agencies, so that our SREC board has confidence that there's already a payment commitment in place beforehand. So I would see that as next steps for all of the law agencies to, in earnest, begin working on those things. Mike, I guess the question is who's the right entities to begin drafting up a interlocal agreement that all the parties can execute with SREC. I think there's some baseline stuff that would be in there, but there's some uniqueness as to how RMS is going to be managed, the core teams, all that sort of stuff that may make sense for our law partners to take the lead on, but we don't have to necessarily decide that today, but just a question that's been out there that Lori and I have been chatting about.
Right. I think the belief in the meetings we've had with executives was basically just transcribing the existing core team model into this, and they're calling it the Hexagon executive team and the Hexagon core team, so that just like we do currently, there's no changes made to the overall system without approval from the voting group being the core team. It's worked exceptionally well since we implemented New World, and so that would be the continuation. The ILAs would be very similar to all the current ILAs, and my plan was to, as soon as this was approved, assuming it was, that we would get together a small group including the county budget office, to get those numbers as soon as possible, so that we can start putting together that. And then obviously we already have numbers from Hexagon, so and getting that out as soon as we can, because we are right in the middle of budget season for everybody, and so some decisions need to be made fairly rapidly, I guess. So
Question.
Shannon?
So we say there's no cost to SREC, but there'll be administrative efforts needed, I imagine, not only now, but throughout the life of this. So how is that accounted for in the cost?
We did present, I'm sure Kill said with an estimation, how many staff hours, things like that will be needed, and that'll be included in the ILA for our work and our time and efforts. We're also looking at possibly needing to get an additional IT employee to be able to support it. That was a discussion that we've had with the law planners.
And Guy, the similar situation exists with the county right now. County IT staff manage that platform. So there is a component of not only the software maintenance ongoing, but also county IT staff that are recoverable costs and build out as part of the RMS. So envisioning something very similar to occur with SREC.
As you may know, currently law does pay for Tyler New World RMS, and that's provided to the report takers in the center. That's not charged back to SREC. So they write on the platform provided by law. So that's how it's always been. So
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Entertain a motion. Motion. Okay. By Dave Ellis.
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion is second to approve the Hexagon RMS platform moving forward. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, new business, 2026 draft budget. Lori.
She also wants to pull that up. So this is the first look at our 2026 draft budget. There are a lot of unknowns, a lot of questions, and a lot of assumptions that we're making because we have a lot of questions, unknowns, and assumptions at this point. So I want to go over just a couple of things. The first thing I want to do is thank Tim and Jenny. This has not been a fun budget season. Not like they usually are.
Not
I
like
mean, you
usual,
guys,
but
yeah.
that are really a lot of fun.
Yeah. They told me they enjoy this, so. No, but this one has been particularly hard in trying to figure out just what our costs will be going forward, knowing that we're splitting with the city of Spokane. So we did kind of carve out our assumptions. We wanted to make sure that those were clear in our draft budget of what we are assuming, knowing full well that there's a high likelihood next year that we're going to be coming with budget amendments and changes as we go forward and we learn a little bit more. So the first assumption for our resources is that we did originally, when we were looking at our budget this year, we didn't plan for any increase in our sales tax. We're seeing that there has been a slight increase in sales tax, so we did project a 2% based on information we received from the county of a 2% increase in our sales tax. So that was beneficial for us. We also, I know that the city of Spokane and the county are still in conversations on the ILA about the tax apportionment. We are, I believe the county has provided a belief of 42% based on how they've done all the other one-time taxes. So that's what we went with on this is the population base, which is about 42%. Non-member services, so those are services that we would possibly contract with the city of Spokane. There has been no official request to us for any sort of services. I did provide them a ILA for the radio system come January. Just because I'm assuming that there's no way that they'll have a radio system up and running and we'll definitely need to remain on the system. There's some conversation happening with that. So I did provide that and we have worked that into our budget that service will still continue for city. But aside from that, they have not made any requests for any other services at this time. And we did put a deadline of November on that so that we can plan accordingly and get user fees out for our folks. So one of the other things, you'll see that we basically between 2025 and 2026, we go down about 4 million. That's the loss of Spokane Fire. Also some things to consider is that our operational reserve does need to be contributed to things like that we're considering. We at this point with our staffing, if we lose any staff next year, it'll be a slow rollout, most likely through attrition is our plan at this point. We want to make sure that we are in a healthy staffing situation, which will be the first time in my career to be in a healthy staffing situation and in a place where we're able to accommodate that cross training. And so that's what we've built into our system is making sure that we've got that covered. So, but we are looking at if the city does not need any of those services from us going forward, looking at through attrition, probably having some folks move on into bigger, better things, just not filling those positions. Expenses. So next year we anticipate that we're guessing we might be doing crime check. We're not sure. We do know for for sure that the citizens are probably not gonna be calling the right number for a while. On when we split that, so our staffing is gonna need to remain the same with that. And then we'll start to figure out how that's gonna look. We also, this board agreed to a 3% COLA for our supervisors last year and a 5% for our baseline. So that includes the COLA for our employees. We go into contract negotiations this next year. This was a 2-year contract, so ready or not, it's happening again. And then we are anticipating to have our facility completed in 2026, with final payment in Q1 of 2027. So one of the things to consider is we aren't going to be spending as much this year as we anticipated, so that's gonna be moving into next year. We're still trying to balance out this year's budget and figure out if we're gonna need to come for a budget amendment on any of that. So. Great. This is more detailed information, of course, what our expenses are, what we're budgeting for it. There's nothing, nothing really out of the ordinary that you guys aren't aware of that's gonna be taking place. The reserve and fund balance, I do want to make sure that we go over that. The operating reserve will remain the same for 2026. We don't see a need to contribute to that if we're going to be looking at lowering staffing over the next year or two. And right now we do a 3-month reserve for our operations, just in case we need something there. CAD reserve will be, hopefully by March or April, will be officially empty, and we will no longer need that reserve area. Facility, again, we're gonna be looking at zeroing that out by the end of the year of 2026. We do have a new capital project coming our way, and that is the microwave system for the radio system. We have microwaves that need to be replaced. It's an $8 million over 3 years. So that's what we're looking at doing, and we're kind of working that in with our moving some of our money from our building reserve to cover that, and then bonding out more on our building bond in hopes of getting that covered. And then we also have our unrestricted fund balance. That we've kept at about 2 months. So it's in a healthy place right now. One of the conversations that we can have, you will see when we get to user fees. That's just the budget comparison. So there has been an impact to the user fees, most heartbreaking to fire. Heartbreaking is the right word, Tom.
Just shocked.
Just shocked and heartbroken. And that's because we're with SFD leaving, and because SFD and SPD didn't join. With SFD no longer a part of the agency, those user fees are gonna now have to be spread out amongst our fire partners. However, one of the conversations we've been having at the finance committee and can continue to have and even have with our fire chiefs when we have a chance to have our FCAB meeting is the ability to put some of our and it's a one-time event, but put some of our unrestricted fund balance towards kind of easing the burden of that. We had conversations about 500 to maybe $1 million to try to balance that out for our fire partners. There are some that increased just because your call volume increased, so if there's not a whole lot we can do about that. But for those that were, I believe the valley's looking at almost a $600,000 increase next year. And I know that Chief Jenkins, it was a pretty significant percentage increase for you. But I think that's one thing that we as a board can discuss, if whether or not we want to maybe do this as a one-time to kind of slow roll our fire group back into the same methodology that they were using previously, or if it's something that it's going to be expected and it is kind of what it is. It's again, it's a conversation that we can have with our fire group, but it's something, don't need a decision today, but something for everyone to just kind of consider that might be an ask of the fire group when we come back. And again, the law didn't see as significant as a change in their user fees. They still have a slight change. And one of the other differences you're going to start seeing in our user fees is that we're going to be in ILAs and SLAs with every law partner now going forward. So we're going to be presenting what those user fees will be from us. One other thing to consider is that we are also taking on CAD. For fire CAD, the maintenance has been less than 200,000 a year. For a long time, and it's looking a little bit different with the hexagon CAD, so that is now gonna be transferred back out to our users. And for law, you know, one thing to consider is that you were paying for those services through a different, you know, through a different venue, and now it's just gonna be compiled into one venue. The other thing is, I believe we have a page, this 2026 or 7. Will be for the bond.
We're anticipating a full year's anticipating
Yeah.
26, yes.
So we are, the way that we're looking at our bond for our building, it's a $20 million bond over a 20-year process. And we haven't gotten it officially yet. We're still working with the county on how it's gonna work, as they're the ones that take out debt for us. And but it's about $1.5 million, and that is something that we're going to be adding to our budget from here going forward for the next 20 years. So that is also, if the tax revenue isn't there to help cover that, that is something that'll get passed to you as well. And that's a discussion that we'll have in a few minutes too, but so that's included in this, so that's where you're seeing some of those changes, but. Intent of this is just first look at the budget. We do have to have budget passed by November. We did send a user piece out to all of our fire partners. And we'll have more discussions at FCAB and I'm sure at fire chiefs. And we had a discussion this week at LCAB about it. So I'm happy to answer any questions. But this is just kind of the brief overview of it. If anything comes up between now and next month's board meeting, happy to look into it and make adjustments at the finance committee at the finance level, so.
Before we get into discussion, can we just look to make sure we still have quorum? Did Scott pop off?
I think Scott popped off, yeah, I'm not looking for action,
Okay.
I'm just looking for a first look.
Just to add a question, Mark, as far as our fire partners and giving them some of that. Wasn't there a couple years ago where our fire partners could have taken, you know, some member fees down and they decided not to for the betterment of the group
Correct.
and added value to the whole group as a result of that. So this is just kind of this would kind of be in return to them to facilitate this, you know, through this year.
It's an option, yeah, they would have had about a $2 million savings. And they opted to put that towards our building reserve. So it's something to consider of, do we wanna reciprocate if that's needed from our fire group? And again, it's, you know, we'll let the fire group kind of guide us in what they're putting at. So. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to say that I greatly appreciate you folks for all the hard work. It's sort of, you know, that we say it's like hitting a moving target, but I'm sure it's like trying to find, you know, couch cushion change along with a lottery ticket. You don't know which one's going to pan out. A lot of adversity, a lot of moving parts. So I understand that, you know, it's hard to balance a budget when you don't even know what the numbers truly are and who all's in, who's all out. So, you know, and then it gets back to pay me now or pay me later, right? We've got a lot of futures that we need to consider and pay for. And so, you know, from a fire side, it's not necessarily what does just this year look like? What does the next 5 to 10 years look like? And is it somewhat of a sustainable, you know, projection is what I'm more interested in. And since you reduced Cheney Police Department's budget, I'm just gonna take it out of there. I can't speak for the other fire chiefs. Thank you, Cheney PD. But no, on a serious note, thanks for all the hard work. I can't even imagine being in the shoes of trying to figure out the budget when you don't even know who's at the table, what all the moving pieces are.
They do a great job. And they bring out their crayons and show me, and I appreciate it.
Hey,
All right.
Lori and Brad, I'm still on, by the way. I was gonna stay on through the bond conversation.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's still here. Great, so bond conversation. So I touched on it a little bit. We're looking to go for a 20-year bond of 20 million. For the facility, facility overall costs, we're still within budget for that at about 35 million. So we're staying within that budget. We put some money towards it already. We have some money in reserve to put towards it, but we're looking at that $20 million to round it out. So we're hoping to have a discussion. I know I talked with Scott yesterday. We're hoping to have a discussion with his group and our group, his legal and our legal, to talk about how that's going to look going forward. But one of the considerations, and Scott, you can interrupt me if I'm going down the wrong path, but one of the considerations is the Board of County Commissioners. You know, want some assurance that this is gonna get paid back and not end up back on their lap, and so. We've had some discussion about putting some sort of agreement in place between us and all of our current members. That is just an understanding and a promise that they'll continue to pay for this bond for the next 20 years until it's paid off. So and knowing that if, you know, tax revenue, we bank a lot on the 1/10 of 1% sales tax. That's a tax that sunsets, and depending on where our world's at that point, that's something that everyone's gotta consider. So making sure that even if the tax revenue isn't there, we're still able to pay our debts. So, Scott, am I missing anything?
No, I think you hit it. I'll just expand a little bit more on it. So the Board of County Commissioners have received the request from SREC to be considered in a public bond offering that we're looking to do here probably now in early Q1 of 2026. We were shooting for December of 2025, but one of the things the board has asked for is as Lori alluded to, the Board of County Commissioners has to have confidence in repayment in order to put forth the full faith and credit of the county. They have to have assurances, and those assurances are from SREC, but they're also from the member agencies. And I know all the member agencies that are part of this today have a great deal of faith and confidence in the services that are delivered by SREC and are committed to being part of this agency into the foreseeable future. However, as the 1/10 is going to sunset at the end of 2027, that would have been a revenue stream that the county could have looked to and said, hey, if SREC and their member agencies aren't able to make the payment to make on the debt service, then we had the 1/10 as a backstop. But that's going to sunset. We have to go back out to the ballot and see what the public's desire to renew that is. So we're going to need some sort of agreements between SREC and the member agencies to memorialize that commitment over the 20 years. One of the paths to do that would be to have the underlying agencies guarantee the debt. Well, that's challenging from a number of reasons. One is it relies on each of the member agencies to have debt capacity in your GO, general obligation capacity. Some of you do, many of you may, some of you may not. And that's a big ask to place. And it's also a long process to get all of your boards, your councils to approve this. So we don't think that's the right path. We think there's a better path where interlocals that are kind of like an expanded service level agreement, user fee agreement between each of the member agencies and SREC that memorializes that commitment for the period of time that the debt is outstanding is going to be the better path to go to. So that's what we'll be meeting with Lori and Tim and Jeff Bryan on next week. I think we're working on getting a meeting set up to flesh out what those agreements need to look like. Those will be shared back with the member agencies, and of course that's going to be something you're going to want to share with all of your boards or city councils.
What, so that, would that necessitate a member agency to be a member for 20 years? And then the other question is kind of the opposite of that. What if you get a new member agency? How would that fit into this, these agreements?
So it doesn't say you have to be a member, but it does say that you would have to still pay your portion of what you agreed to pay for that. So if you find out that you don't really love our service and that you are gonna go your own path or do your own thing, that's fine. But this is basically assuring that you're gonna pay your loan back. The other, as far as if somebody were to join, at that point, I would say that we would, as a board, look into what is the cost associated with them joining. It shouldn't just be you walk in and you get whatever exists for free. You probably need to buy into the system. And if you buy into the system, that can help
Lori
Yeah.
or Scott? Is there gonna be any official communication to the agencies, or should we be talking immediately with this information?
I would say yes to both, Eric. There will be, once we've had a chance to meet next week, we'll have a pretty good idea of the form of agreement that would be needed for the board. And I'll just reinforce, this is really, it's a SREC ask. So SREC needs to come back and give the assurances to the Board of County Commissioners. And those assurances are due in large part to the member agencies. So there will be some form of a document or a framework of a document that we'll be able to share back with all the member agencies. But I think it's important to share the concepts with all of your legislative bodies as soon as you can.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the bond issue? All right. Move on to the backup center ILA, Lori.
It's me again. We're working with Chief Vinci at the District 9 on a backup center ILA. We haven't actually had an ILA in place for a couple of years. It expired and between changes to leadership up in District 9 and it falling off of my plate, we didn't have anything in place. So District 9 is being a great partner with us, working really hard to do what they can to accommodate us as we get ready to go up there for the year. And so they're just in the process of getting that together. I was hoping to have it to present to everyone, but he's working on a couple of legalities still, and we want to make sure that we've got that in place so that we can get that backup center ILA signed. Hopefully next month we'll have a chance to review it and go over it. But it's a fair contract from what I saw, from what our attorneys saw when they looked at it. So unless there's some significant changes, I think we'll be comfortable bringing it forward next month. And along with that, there are a couple of improvements that have to take place for us to be there for the year that we'll discuss at that time as well. So any questions?
All right. Thank you, Lori. October board meeting, Lori again.
And I talked to you.
It is.
So this is our last board meeting in this room. Wish it well. We're gonna be moving to our various locations, and we're gonna be looking at special board meetings from here until we're able to move into our new facility and officially change those. So we'll be notifying everyone at that time. However, I do have an ask, we have to get budget approved on a lot of things. Next month, I'm going to be at a conference that I have to attend in Wenatchee. I'm not sure that I'm gonna be available the day of our board meeting, and so I'm looking at wanting to change the date of the board meeting. So I'll have Sherelle send out a poll unless there's a significant issue with us doing that. I'll have Sherelle send out a poll on a change of date and time. We don't yet know what venue we'll go to. We'll figure that out in the next week or so and go from there. But just wanted to give everyone a heads up that that's what we're looking at doing for October, and then we'll probably move around the county and visit all kinds of new people and friends. Jabelis? Oh, thank you.
And we've lost our quorum, correct? Okay, so what we need to do from here, just to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act, is we can adjourn the meeting and you can continue to provide information. We'll just kind of have a discussion on it as we come to action item.
Sure.
All right. We'll adjourn the meeting at 8:45 a.m. for further action items.
And no further discussion.
And
So, but we can provide information.
Okay.
Yeah.
They just can't chat with us about it.
Yeah.
I love this.
I can say whatever. This is the best meeting I've ever had.
Hold us, Joe, I was getting ready to tell you Cody's calendar is wide open.
Whatever. All right, thank you. All right, we'll move into old business, member agency fee policy.
That that was presented last month. Again, we're just trying to align our policy with the best practice for this agency. Our current member policy is 5 years old. So, giving everyone the opportunity again to take some time to look at it, we're gonna wanna make sure that this, unless there's questions or concerns going forward, which you can send me a note later about. We're going to, look to bring it forward for approval at next month's meeting.
Thank you. Lori again, see what's the plan update.
Don't have much to update, we did. Like I said, I did send a radio ILA, we received some questions back on that, so we're working on an answer, I'll get that back to them today. I know that there was a request for Dusty to sit down and meet with the city of Spokane regarding Hexagon and Spokane Fire. He did that, walked through the hurdles that are in place as far as getting that accomplished and the inability to go beyond that. So we had a meeting, it was a pretty quick meeting after our last board meeting that just kind of aligned who needs to talk to who about some stuff. And I do know that Dusty's had a couple of conversations with IT folks, but there hasn't been a whole lot of movement on our part on other than what we're doing to move SREC forward. So I'm not really sure where the city's at with their process.
I've had 4 meetings over the last 2 weeks with different teams at the city of Spokane, specialized IT areas, project management, 911 phone system, fire dispatch workflow, CAS, network and infrastructure of our building, what we're leaving for them. So just kind of a knowledge transfer for the different groups, and this was with management absent, but just techs, the boots on the ground that will be implementing the systems that we have here. So those have all gone very well. Providing that information to them, they're soaking it up.
We're doing our very best to do what we can for them, but as you are well aware, we have a lot of large projects happening, so it's gonna be a lot of work.
And we did set the stage with them that we're providing this information and we can point them in the right direction. But we can't be their Sherpa and carry the bags as we go up the mountain. It's here, here's what we've done. And we're here to support you and kind of guide you along the point you in the right directions.
I will add, I had hoped that Tom or Maggie would have been on today, but one of the I keep getting different questions asked of me of whether or not we're gonna be continuing doing fire on January 1st. There's been no ask, there has been no contract put in place, and so we have no intention of doing that. I'm not sure what their plan is with fire. That was what I was hoping we would maybe get some feedback on today, is what they're gonna do for January 1st, but we have our plan in place on what we intend to do with the call when it arrives, and it's a transfer over to a secondary PSAP. So we're hoping at one point maybe we'll get some guidance on that, but we have nothing going forward as far as supporting Spokane Fire as of January 1.
Thank you, Lori, Dustin. Facility update.
We're continuing on the design of the facility. We're trying to finalize that. So we've got some of the pre-work that we're getting ready to hopefully get some permitting done on, and then we'll go through a second round of permitting for some of the later work, but it's a matter of finishing the design so that we can really nail down the exact costs on where stuff's gonna be. It's a lot of technical stuff that Brandon and Dusty are really excited about, and it's good that they're excited about it. And I just wanna see cool stuff, so, but I know it's a lot of hard work. They've done a really good job. We've got a great partnership with our contractors and our architects, and our team has been led by Brandon and putting in a lot of hard work on making sure that this is gonna be a solid facility for us and state of the art moving forward, and a good place for us to be for 30 to 40 years. So we're grateful for the opportunity. One of the great things to hear is we've had some electricians, things like that, come in to look at going for our bids, and they come in and they're relieved at what they see as opposed to horrified at what they see and what they might have to deal with. And so that's been a really nice thing to hear, is that we've picked really good bones for them to start at. So we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to moving in one day, and we're gonna be excited to show you kind of the design and the thought processes that we've had. But
Thank you. Some staff reports. Operations, yeah.
I'm sure I'll get the statistics pulled up. We had our class of 8 start in August and we are working on completing the hires for October. The end of October, we'll have an academy of 4. And then like we mentioned before, we'll pause hiring just for a brief period as we get ready to start training the trainer and train the staff on Hexagon and go live in March. Our call volume has stayed fairly consistent with what we've seen for the last several months. Just a reminder, this is statistics of year to the prior year. So this would be August statistics to last August. So we are seeing a slight increase overall, but a little decrease in the 911 incoming calls. Our average wait time is staying fairly consistent. We haven't seen a big influx one way or the other, depending on that call volume. Our dispatch stats are steadily going up. We're assuming those will start to decline as the weather starts to get cooler and people start to get cooler heads. Crime check reports are staying consistent on who's calling in. We're still seeing more on the phone versus the online. Still seeing that deficit of that 24% that we've consistently seen throughout the year, that people are preferring to call in to talk to one of our report techs to do that report. Our EMD statistics, as a reminder, we do have a QA meeting twice a month to go over our EMD statistics. And we're staying within those numbers, so things are looking really good. Our hands to chest 64 and our time to queue is 30, so we're well within that goal that you see that we allows us to stay accredited. So very kudos to our staff and good job on the training staff as well. We've had a lot of training over the last several years. And that got us to the numbers that we got for accreditation. So that's a big kudos to them on getting them trained up and so they can do the job to meet those numbers. Staffing vacancies, we're sitting at 9%. That number has fluctuated wildly over the last 2 months from 14 to 10 to 7 to 9. So that's as we've seen new people come in and people move around. And that is pretty much it for operations, unless there's any questions. Oh, sorry, you cannot talk to me. My voice habit. I know, how a damper on the party. Our starts is going wrong.
All right. Technical Dusty, all right. Radio Shop, we had our kickoff meeting with Motorola to kick off the project to move the core radio functions from this building to the new facility. This is a huge project. It'll add 2 new microwave links from the site at Miraboo to Fancher and Antoine. A radio tower there, a new radio server room. And so we had our architect join that meeting and Brandon so that we could identify the dependencies of this project and the new facility and the new tower. So what needs to go in what order in order to align the 2 projects and make sure one is not waiting on the other. So that was a really, really successful meeting. Also, we're wrapping up our preventive maintenance that we do in the summer for the radio sites. 23, soon to be 24 radio sites up on the mountaintops that we can't access in the winter. So getting those, make sure that HVAC is up to date and functioning, tuned up. There's propane in the tanks for the generators, so they're ready to go for winter. Coordinating with IT and getting ready to move up to the backup center with Chief Vinci and Chief Jeffries, Chief Strong at District 9. We'll be moving the phones. Thank you very much for approving that move. But then also relaying out the space, working with Carrie and training and operations to lay that out more efficiently so we can fit more bodies comfortably there. But that all requires rewiring of the radio consoles and then the phones and computer layouts. So that's a pretty big lift on a short time frame. So we are, putting that right into our project queue. But radio and IT are doing a great job coordinating with each other to get that done. IT is also working on the temporary space that we're going to be moving into. Make sure we have network there so our admin staff and leadership can connect to our SREC network and hopefully move in and not see a change in any working conditions there. So we can support them. And then at the same time working on the new facility, power requirements, audiovisual access controls as we finish the design. What's that flow going to be like and all the tech that goes into that, security cameras. So got our fingers in a lot of different areas, but the staff's doing a great job compartmentalizing and moving from one to the other without letting anything fall through the cracks. So super proud of both IT and radio. And our CAD team, we've got a CAD project going. we're going live in March.
That's happening
Uh,
there.
in the midst of all of this. And so they're staying focused. We've got good support from operations, some subject matter experts on the floor, because we're gonna do functional testing in 2 weeks, at the end of this month. So we have the system built to the point it is. We're gonna have those come in, hammer away at the system here in the conference room next door on layouts that are gonna mimic what we have in production. Vendor's gonna be here. Our consultants are gonna be here on site, so we can answer questions. If we find a bug, hopefully fix it on the spot, retest it there. If we can't, then they'll take that back. We have time with Hexagon over the next month after this dedicated just to break fixes, just to fix what we identify in that week of testing. So great support from Kim and operations of getting people off of the floor to sit for 8 or 10 hours and just run through 100 different scenarios you see every day in the new system to make sure it can handle whatever support you and the first responders in the field. Our first dispatch train the trainer will be the week of November 17th. So that's right around the corner. Since there are no questions, I will kick it off. Back to Tim.
All right, finance, Tim. Finance, really doesn't have a lot to do with the report. 26 budget is what it is, where we're at, we may have some small changes coming to that, between that on the finance committee and. Extra fund balance use or whatever, how that works out, we'll get that done into the next version and hopefully in October get that approved. At that meeting, and we'll turn our attention then to getting 2025. Audit can be right around the corner, we know that, with that Q3 end in here. So we'll be putting that quarterly report together. So those are kind of the things that have been taking up our time.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Human resources, Megan.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, like Kim said, we're hiring 4 people for October, so we're in the process of getting them through their background and polygraph and psych and everything. So I'm working with 4 people to get them through, hopefully to start October 20th. And then our bigger thing is preparing for open enrollment. We heard from our broker last week, he doesn't have a full renewal, but we do anticipate increases in health insurance, pretty significant increases next year. So he's talking with Kaiser, with Delta Dental, with all of our benefits and trying to get a package together that we should have in a couple weeks. So we'll know more, and then we'll move forward with open enrollment for our employees. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Administration, Lori.
I mean, what haven't I? So, I do want to add one thing, and that is, one of our supervisors was selected as the NICE 2025 ESAP's Finest Line Supervisor of the Year. Yes, I don't know if you're allowed to do that. Clap. Jeff. Yeah. And we're really proud of her. Kelly Mahaffey is the one who won that. She's been with this agency. Sorry, with Spokane County, and everyone has been with our agency for forever, 20-ish years. So I should probably know that off the top of my head. But she was selected, and that is a national award. We're extremely proud of her. We received a plaque the other day that we'll present to her later today. We thought about inviting her here, but I think she would murder me for the embarrassment. So anyway, we're extremely proud of her. It just goes to show the great quality of people that we have working here and the fine work that they do on a daily basis. And they don't do it for the awards, but it's nice when others see the great stuff that they do and are able to recognize that. So very excited for her. And that's part of but we have another award winner for our agency, and that's where I'm going to be in October. Is we have one of our employees, Reagan Hayes, has won Trainer of the Year for Washington State. Mm-hmm. So she's also another phenomenal employee that's put together some excellent training on autism and excellent training on TB. And it's actually some training that our partners around the state have asked us to record and provide to their agency so that they can push that out as well. So extremely proud of them, and I'm happy that we're able to recognize them and see their great work being shared amongst others, because it's about public safety and making sure we're doing the very best we can for our public. So we've got the right people here doing that. And other than everything else I've talked about, I don't care about your questions. Yeah, told me I'm not allowed. I hope those are in the meeting minutes.
Lori won't mention, but she was featured in the State of the County address that happened a couple weeks ago. As an award-winning agency and award-winning employees, two of our staff were recognized, and then Lori did a great interview, and that was featured at the luncheon for State of the County as just along with, thank you to 4 other agencies that were award-winning around the county. That was featured, and so it was really cool to see the support that was provided from them, and then the 450 people in attendance. And I know a lot of you guys were there as well, and I think that deserves a shout out that she won't mention on her own.
I didn't know what to do with my.
All right, nothing else for you?
We have.
Where you go?
I will just say that, as you spoke a lot today,
Mhm.
it was incredible to see all the work that you and your team are doing, and all the different things that you're balancing. We all appreciate it, all the people, on the board appreciate and value all the, all the investment you have in our public safety teams in our community, so. Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you. You all for yourself.
I second that. Thank you, Lori, and your team.
Thank you. Meeting that isn't even happening, so I don't know. You can leave whenever you want. Great, thank you everyone online, have a good day.
Sorry, it's really.
You